Hello everyone and welcome to a new Ultimate Holdem Timer tutorial. I'm Sebastian, the developer behind UHT, and today we're gonna have a look at a topic that seems to confuse a lot of people, and it's the price distribution feature of UHT. Let's dive right in and open the tournament configuration. And as you can see, I have already prepared a little tournament configuration here. And for us, the important part is here the price distribution. This topic is a bit more complicated than the rest of the application, I get that, but today we're gonna demystify it and I'll show you how to easily set up the perfect price distribution for your tournament. The first step, of course, is enabling price distribution. Once you enabled it, you have access to all these controls here, and maybe we can go over them and explain it shortly. So in the middle here, you have the configuration of how you want to split your prices. And in this case, we have the fixed price distribution selected. So basically, no matter how many players enter the tournament, the distribution of the prices will always remain the same. So in this case, for example, we have three different winners. The first one will get 50% of the prize pool, the second 30, and the third one 20% of the prize pool. We can easily change it um, through deleting these entries here. We can click on them or use backspace to delete them. And now, of course, I get a warning saying that my percentages don't add up to 100, which makes sense because we're splitting our prize pool in percent. We should always end up with 100%. All right, so to enter a percentage, just type in a number followed by a percent and hit space or enter. And you've logged in, and you can see already here we have first example values. Let's continue with 30%, 20%, and 10%. So now we have 4 winning places instead of 3 like before, and you can already see here an example distribution when 10 people would enter the tournament. So as you can see, I have configured here a buy-in price of 10. So when we now increase our entries, let's say 15 players enter the tournament, we will see that 4 players would win, and the first one will get $60 and the fourth place would win $15 in this example here. Okay. But of course, you don't have to enter all these values by hand. You can always use our tools like our payout structure calculator. You simply open it up and tell how many players you expect to enter your tournament. Let's say I expect 15 players at my tournament and I want 4 of them to win. And as you can see, I get already a few example percentages calculated, and also the value in money is shown here. You can see here the prize pool will be about 150. That's because 15 players times 10 entry would result in $150 prize pool. And now I can adjust the steepness of the payouts. As you can see right now, player first place would win almost 47% of the prize pool. Maybe you say that's a bit too much. I don't want the first place to have such a big gap in the prize pool, so we reduce it a little bit. So we have maybe a little more softer percentages here. This looks fine to me. I just click on use this payout structure and it gets applied to my configuration here. All right, so let's see our price distribution in action. Let me go ahead and save this distribution here and open up the tournament. Let me refresh quickly here. And if I now start a tournament and add a few players, you can see the price distribution gets refreshed and the values are all calculated correctly. And no matter how many players I now add, you can see there is always 4 winning places, because that's how our fixed price distribution works, right? All right, so what if we don't want that? What if we want to change our distribution depending on how many people enter the tournament? because it doesn't make really sense to have only 2 or 3 people winning when in the end you have maybe 20 players playing in the tournament. So you want to adjust this number and according to the number of entries to your tournament. And to do so, we need to switch from this fixed price distribution to our dynamic price distribution. And the dynamic price distribution allows us to do exactly this. We can define how many entries lead to how many winning places. So as you can see here, as long as only 2 to 4 players enter, there is only one winning place. When 5 to 6 players enter, there are already 2 winning places, where the first one gets 70% of the prize pool and the second one gets 30. And from 7 onwards, there is 3 winners here. So it will be split like this. And I could even go ahead and add another winning bracket and now say, okay, maybe I want not 7 to 9, but 7 to 10. And from the 11th entry, there should be 4 winning places. So let's go ahead and tell it to be 40%, 30%, 20%, and 10%. And as you can see here, we of course get the same support as with the fixed distribution. The system tells me that the forced price distribution has an issue and there are 10% missing. So let's go ahead and add those, and then everything is fine. And as you can see, I added another bracket where 11 or more players enter the tournament. This will be the final distribution. And we can even test it by selecting here how many players should enter. And as you can see, when I cycle through the brackets, there are always a different amount of winning places. So for example, here's only 1, now 2, 3, and 11 and above, we get 4 winning places. So let's go ahead and try it out. We save the changes and switch over to our tournament, refresh. And as you can see here, the tournament is reset, so no players have entered so far, and this is why we only have 1 winning place. Let's start the tournament and enter a few players. And as you can see, when I increase the player numbers, somewhere now we get a 2nd place. And if we continue increasing, we have a 3rd winning place. And from 11 and onwards, we should even get a 4th place to win some money. And this will now stay because we didn't define more price distribution brackets. Okay, so let's go back to our edit screen. So the price distribution, as you saw, is basically pretty simple. You just define your brackets and enter how many players you want to have, so these brackets should be active. But of course, there are a few pitfalls here which seem to confuse a lot of people. And the first one is, of course, the definition of the brackets. So what I see many people do is when they define the brackets, they will define the borders like this. So you have 2 to 4 and 4 to 6, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, but look closely and you see that 4 players are now defined in the first bracket and 4 players are defined in the second one. So the system now can't tell with confidence which of these brackets should it use when only 4 players enter the tournament. I mean, we can try it out and tell it that 4 players entered, and you can see the system will always choose the last bracket. But this is maybe not something that you intended. And that's why you get this yellow highlight here saying that there's either a gap or an overlap between your brackets. And if you hover here above the table with your mouse, you even get an example above how to do so. And you should never reuse bracket boundaries in multiple brackets, right? So I need to switch this one back to 5. Then everything is fine again. And you can see now 4 players will now resolve the first bracket. Another thing that people like to do is when they maybe add another bracket, let me remove this one here and add it back in. they maybe manage to enter a correct value here, like the 11, but they go ahead and start entering the percentages without using the actual percent sign in the input. And as you can see now, I do it like this, 40, 30, 20, and 10%. Well, in my head, I wanted to tell it to use percentages, but I left out the percent sign. And this forces UHT to use this number as an actual fixed dollar value. And as you can see here, when we cycle now to this bracket, you can see here that is taking these values very literally. So 40 for first, 30 for second, 20 and 10 for the fourth. So no matter what I do now, this numbers doesn't change because those are fixed values. And if I want to have percentages, I always have to add a percent sign at the end. And now you see UHT tells you, okay, now you use percentages, but you're still missing a few of those. So I need to end percentages here to resolve this issue and now to get the expected behavior. Maybe you ask yourself, why is this even allowed to use values without percentages? Well, this is because many people like to define rules like this. For example, I have this distribution, but I always want the fifth place to win at least the buy-in back. And the buy-in is $10. So let me just define that the last place always gets his $10. And as you can see here, no matter how many players enter now above 11, the last place, the fifth place, will always win this fixed amount of $10, and the rest of the prize pool will be distributed according to the percentages. This gives you a little bit more of flexibility in defining your prize pools. Okay, so let me reset this distribution and go over to our fixed price distribution. This, of course, also works here. I can also add here a price of fixed value of 5. As you can see here, there's no percent sign. And you can see here that the fifth place now will always win $5, no matter how many players enter the tournament. All right, those were the main features. Now let's have a look at this area here that we so far have left out. And this area allows you to define a guaranteed prize pool. So, for example, maybe I want to create a tournament where I guarantee with a prize pool of $150. And I can basically do so just by entering the number here. And now you can see if yes, of course. So now you can see if I change the number of players who entered the tournament, the prize pool doesn't change. And this could be or feel odd at first, but you need to think about how the system works. Right now we have overlay enabled, and when overlay is enabled, we're basically saying to the tournament, all right, the prize pool must first reach the guarantee before he will be increased. And as you can see here, we have a buy-in of $10 per person. So I need 15 persons to reach a prize pool of 150. And as long as I'm under this $150, the guarantee kicks in, and this will be the prize pool. So now only 10 people enter the tournament, so the prize pool is $100. This is below the guarantee, and so the guarantee is the value that's actually getting used because this is guaranteed. But once our player entries exceed the guarantee. So for example, now 16 players entered, and as you can see, $160 is above the guarantee. Now we actually increase the prize pool because it's more than the guarantee. If you don't like this behavior and you always want to add every entry inside the prize pool, even if there is a guarantee, you can disable overlay behavior. And as you can see now, the full entry values of 15, which is times 10, $150, is added on top of this guarantee, and now you basically doubled the prize pool. but usually you want to use the overlay, so maybe you don't need to pay your guarantee at all if enough players enter your tournament. All right, so one last thing we need to look at it is if you decide to create a free roll tournament and you enable the switch here, your entry price will, or buy-in price will become the re-entry price. So the first buy-in is free when the free roll is enabled, and it will not count towards your prize pool. But whenever a player is rebuying after busting, they will have to pay this re-entry price, and this money then will go inside your prize pool. And another thing is, whenever you decide to create a free roll, so you always should define a guaranteed prize pool. Because if you think about it, when there is no entry fee into your tournament, so you don't have a prize pool, why would you even play in this tournament? You can't win anything, right? So we should always guarantee a prize pool. Let's say we guarantee $100 prize pool. So now, whenever the players enter, they have the $100 guaranteed, and when they re-enter, they will add to the prize pool. And we can see this behavior in action. Let's save our tournament here and switch over to the tournament display, refresh. And as you can already see, no players entered so far, but we already have our prize pool distribution defined because we have a guarantee of $100. We already know that the first one will at least win $38. All right, so let's go ahead and start a tournament and add a few players. So now, as you can see, no matter how many players I add, there is no change to the prize pool. And of course there's no, because this is a free roll, there is actually no entry fee. So whenever a player enters, he doesn't pay anything, so the prize pool isn't increased. But whenever a player busts and re-enters, now you can see we will get um, um, yeah, entries to the prize pool, and you can see the overlay value decreasing. So now we have 3 entries so far, which is $10 each. So we have a prize pool of $30 so far. And you can see $100 is guaranteed, minus the $30 in the prize pool. We have an overlay left of $70. So let's go ahead, maybe switch it up a bit. And as you can see here, whenever or once we reach the overlay, which is basically 0, every entry then will increase the prize pool like you're used to in your usual tournaments. So yeah, that's basically it. Now you know everything you need to know to set up your perfect price distribution, no matter if it's a fixed price distribution or a dynamic one. You have all the tools you need to do so. I hope you will have fun at your next tournament and can make it even better for all your players. Have fun and see you. Bye.